So as I was driving down here, I looked down at the shirt I was wearing and realized I think I've worn this shirt for 2 or 3 other story slams. Maybe it's time for a new one. But so I'll do my best next time. But last week, and I think it's worth sharing this, last week was Paula Bradley's memorial service. And I think it's important to remember how tough and resilient some of our older folks are. And as an example to that, Bill and Paula obviously, were winter residents here for a period of time, and then when Bill passed away, Paula moved down to Havenwood. But she would still periodically show up unannounced. Not that she's not allowed to do that, but when it's the middle of the winter and it's 20 below zero and the driveway hasn't been plowed, it was making me nervous. So I finally struck a deal with her that if she was going to come visit in the middle of the winter, that at least she would somehow let me know, leave a message on my answering machine or whatever. Because as I said, we weren't plowing the driveway, although still at her late 80s, she would still throw on her snowshoes and snowshoe into the front door. So she agreed. And so I'll take you back, I lose track of time now, but 8 or 10 years ago. And it was Maple Weekend. And like all Maple Weekends, it was very, very cold, which is not conducive to trying to have people at the sugar house and trying to make maple syrup when you need the temperature above 32 degrees, and you look at the thermometer and it's 17. But anyway, it was a classic Maple Weekend. And when I went down the hill on Saturday, I noticed that Paula's car was parked off to the side of the road. And when I got home that evening after working at the sugar house, there was a message from Paul to say that, hey, I've come up today, I'm not staying long tomorrow because I'm going to go to church, but I wanted to let you know, which was fabulous. So the following morning I get up because, we're going to generally have guests at the sugar house around 10:30 or so. So, and it was 17 degrees. I remember looking. It was cold 17 degrees. It was just one of those nasty cold days. And I went down the hill and I saw Paula's car there. And I didn't think too much initially of it because she had called to tell me she was going to be there. When I got down to the junction, I recognized that she also said that she wasn't going to be around a lot because she was going to church that morning. And so that got me concerned. So I decided to turn around and go and make sure she was okay, because at that point she was in her late 80s, maybe early 90s. And in my previous life, I always hated those trips where somebody called looking for somebody, because oftentimes it was not a good result. But anyway, I got back to where her car was, and I could see in the snow where she had gone into the house, but had not come back out of the house. So I had to put my snowshoes on, because I wasn't walking on top of the snow. There was 3 or 4 feet of snow on the ground. And so I put my snowshoes on, and I wandered up towards the house. And as I got closer to the house, I thought I could hear some noise coming from somewhere towards the rear. I went to the front door, and the front door was very much locked. And so I banged on the front door, and Paula didn't answer, and I banged on the front door, and Paula didn't answer. But then I could still hear somebody, and it sounded like calling for help. And I'm thinking, where is that coming from? But because I took care of the house and I knew where the hidden key was, I was able to jump off the deck into 4 feet of snow, thrash around in the snow, get underneath the deck, found the key, got to the front door, and opened the front door, went inside, no Paula. I can't find her upstairs, I can't find her downstairs, I can't find her in the bedroom, but again I hear somebody calling. And I'm thinking, that's coming from the back of the house. So I walk through the living room, and I peer out onto the back porch. And it's hard to describe this, what I saw, but peering back in from the back porch is a set of eyeballs wrapped up in a hand-woven rug. And it's bald. And so I opened the door, because the door was locked. I opened the door and I scooped her up in my arms, and we came inside, and I put her on the couch and said something along the lines of, so why did you decide to spend the night out on the porch when it's 17 degrees? And I then learned the story, which was she had decided to make a fire in the wood stove. The wood was out on the back porch. And she had gone out through the back porch the previous day in the afternoon. And the door closed behind her and it was locked. And she could not get back into the house. And she could not also go off the back porch because there was 4 feet of snow. So she couldn't open the door. But you gotta give her credit. Rather than panic and not survive the night of 17 degrees, there was a braided rug on the floor and she rolled herself up like a burrito. And she spent the night on the back porch waiting for somebody to come find her the next morning. And thankfully the next morning, there she was looking in from the back porch at me. So I'm still in a panic at this point because I'm sure she's suffering from hypothermia. Although she's answering the questions that I'm asking her quite well, and she's very cognizant of things, and she seems more worried about me than I'm worried about her. And finally, I figured out she was all right when she looked at me and she said, John, she says, you look a little cold. Maybe we should make some tea. And at which point I realized that she was going to be just fine. And that tea would solve everything.